You.
Hey, Brock, how are you?
I'm grateful. Good to be here.
Yep. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank
So,
you.
look, I want to jump right in because I know your time is valuable, and I think it really interesting to just give me a snippet of your background and why are you doing this?
All right. Yeah, I'm Brock Pierce, and I'm running for president of the United States of America. I grew up in Minnesota, and through an unusual set of events, I found myself as an actor. My first memory in life takes place on a set at the age of 3, making commercials and print. I was doing like advertising, modeling and print advertisements and things of that nature. And like a lot of kids in Minnesota, I grew up playing hockey. And so when Mighty Ducks came to town, I booked my first movie at the age of 10, playing young Gordon Bombay, opening up the movie with the triple deke and missing the shot. And then that led me to California, where I made a bunch more movies. Probably the most interesting or relevant to this conversation is a movie called First Kid, where I played the son of the president of the United States, and Sinbad was my Secret Service agent. And shortly after that, now that I was starring in films, I just decided, wow, this fame thing is kind of not so good. And so I asked myself for the first time, am I doing what I want to be doing? Is this my calling to be an actor? And I decided that I didn't really want to read other people's scripts and to be a performer. I wanted to write my own script and be the director of my own life. I wanted to create things. And so in that world, I wanted to be a producer and make movies, but at the same time, being the byproduct of the first generation of kids with computers and internet connections, I saw the impact that technology was going to have on the world. And so at 16, I'm like, forget movies. I want to become an internet entrepreneur, not having any clue how to do it. But again, through an unusual set of events, I met someone, pitched an idea that you would think of today as YouTube and Hulu and Netflix. This is in 1997. Started my first company at 16. We raised $88 million from the most prestigious institutions in the world and the biggest name investors. We had 30 different shows online and user-generated content and licensed and repurposed. That business failed in 2000 when the bubble burst, along with 99 out of 100 other businesses. And then after that, I'm like, okay, what next? I'm now a college dropout. I'm a washed up actor and arguably a failed entrepreneur. And so I'm like, what am I going to do? Do I go get a job or do I try this again? And so I had another idea that digital currency was going to be a big deal. And having grown up playing games my whole life, and having been an early adopter of virtual worlds, things like World of Warcraft and Second Life, those came later. But I saw that the digital currency in these games had value, even though there was no market for them. And so I started making markets, buying digital currency from people that had more than they needed and selling it to those that had the expendable income but lacked the discretionary time. And that turned out to actually be a big idea. We built up a supply chain of about 400,000 people that would play video games professionally to mine digital currencies. We were Google's largest advertiser for a moment when they first launched. We were PayPal's largest merchant for more than 3 years. We were instrumental in the launching of Alipay, and we basically rolled up that business globally and did many, many billions of dollars of sales and learned a lot about payment systems, cross-border transactions, doing business all over the world. And so I spent most of the 2000s, the first decade, in that space. And then as you're managing, all of these, call it virtual markets, it's like, well, I wonder if this idea for digital currency could be extended to the real world. And that's what the last decade has been for me, which is Bitcoin and blockchain and understanding how we can take these concepts and roll them out globally, but in ways much bigger than just currency. And so I'd say, yeah, I grew up, 10 years as an actor, another, call it while as a tech entrepreneur in media, that transition phase, 10 years in virtual worlds with digital currency, and now another decade in, call it the real world with digital currency and more.
See,
and it looks like my next decade is going to be spent in politics.
Because I'll tell you, you've been incredibly successful in everything that you've said to date. And, I know you and I know of you. And my question is, though, why are you running for president of the United States? I mean, you could do anything you want right now. And to do what you're intending to do is going to create a forensic evaluation of all of your life decisions. You cannot run for president just on a platform. You have to pass this incredible scrutiny. Why are you doing that?
Well, I mean, I've got nothing to hide, so I'm quite comfortable with the scrutiny. But yes, it's like stepping into the inferno. It's not something. Well, that's probably the main reason why most of the best people, or call it the highest qualified people to run for office, they don't do it because no one wants to have to go through that process of having every decision you've made in your life, put under a magnifying glass, and having to answer for every decision you made in your life, because we're all imperfect. We've all made mistakes. We've all learned lessons. And most of us, don't want to have to face the music.
Yeah, I mean, Brock, somebody's going to show up with a video of you at Burning Man, and you're going to have to tell what was going on at that party. That's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm quite comfortable with the decisions I've made in my life. I've made mistakes. I'm definitely not perfect. But I believe that I've always operated from the heart. I've always tried to be kind, generous, helpful. I spend time with everyone. I mean, if you've ever seen me at a conference, I'm not one of those guys that goes on stage and then exits stage left and gets the hell out of the conference. Yeah. I actually hang out for hours to honor everyone that took the time to listen to me, to actually take the time to listen to them, answer whatever questions they have, take a picture, whatever it is that they want, because I believe in that sacred sort of reciprocity. And so I'm concerned. Obviously this is not this is going to be a painful process for me, but I have such conviction and feel so strongly about the state of the world right now, and specifically our nation. Our nation is polarized. Our nation is divided. Yeah. And we need people that can reunite us, that can harmonize the left and the right, because that's the only path forward. And if there were other people stepping up to do this, I wouldn't be doing it right now. We need people that understand what's really happening in the world right now, that have their finger on the pulse. Technology has changed all of our lives, changed all of our business. It's changing everything, and it's doing so exponentially. And if we care about the long-term future of our nation, it's going to require people that actually understand what's happening, because it matters right now. And I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't deeply, deeply concerned. I mean, this is an incredible act of service.
Yeah, Brock, you're a thinker, and I don't mean to cut you off, but we have Kanye West, Joe Biden, and President Trump. What specifically do you offer that's different than our choices that we have today?
Well, I'm a small businessman in the sense that I create things out of nothing. This nation was built by entrepreneurs, and this nation will be rebuilt by entrepreneurs. Innovators and dreamers are the ones that are going to lead us forward. You take a look at every aspect of our system. It all needs to be upgraded. From single-use plastic bottles to finding ways to do things in a sustainable fashion, from our healthcare system. I mean, the entire system needs to be upgraded. And who's going to do that? It's going to be the dreamers and the innovators. It's going to be the small businessmen and women. It's going to be entrepreneurs, and that is who I am. I make things out of nothing. And so I believe that we need that skill set that's certainly resident. I also think we need uniters. We need people that are moderate, people that can have conversations with the left, have conversations with the right. And so when I meet Democrats, they all assume I'm a Democrat. When I meet Republicans, they all assume I'm a Republican. When I meet libertarians, they all assume I'm a libertarian, because there's certain aspects of all of those, call it perspectives, that resonate with me, but perhaps not all of it. And what I'm doing in all of my conversations is I'm finding common ground. I'm finding the things that we have in common, because that's when you start to say, oh, I see some of me in you. And that's when you can start to have the more difficult conversations. Right now, there's this mentality of it's us versus them. And often each side is holding the other side in contempt. And to get past that, you have to be willing to have conversations. I mean, what happened to the days where we could have conversations with people that we disagreed with, and have those conversations with dignity and respect, where you might learn something, and at a minimum, you're going to learn where that other person's coming from, their perspective. And through that understanding, you can then find compromise. You can find a path forward. We can agree to disagree about things, but we have to come to some agreement collectively if we want to if we want to create a better world. And so I think that we need youth. I think that we need people that understand technology. I think we need uniters. I think we need people that speak from the heart and not negatively. I mean, right now, with everything going on in the world, 70% or so of Americans are probably in fear or just in deep discomfort, unsure about how they're going to pay their rent, their mortgages, put food on the table, or if nothing else, just generally uncertain about their future. And I think that I can deliver a powerful message to the American people that will allow us to stop and think and reevaluate and ask ourselves some very difficult and important questions like, what are your values? You know, how many people really know their values? What are your principles? You know, what's up, what's down, what's right, what's wrong for you? What is your moral compass? And through that process, you start to define what you stand for. And once you know what you stand for, you're standing on solid ground. You're not going to be easily manipulated by whatever you saw on the news or whomever was the last person that talked to you. You're going to start to have conviction in your beliefs. And through that process, as we better ourselves individually, then we can better ourselves collectively. I believe that we need to redefine who we are, and I believe we need to redefine what it is to be an American. The future is going to happen, and the future is either going to happen to you or it's going to happen with you. I hope that I can deliver a message that also resonates with the youth, Generation Z, the millennials. 50% of the population of the planet today is 35 years old or younger, and most of them are not participating. They have to understand the importance of civil duty and civil responsibility. Again, the future will happen to you or with you. This is an invitation to participate in the conversation. Like politicians don't admit they don't know everything. I do not have all the answers, but I do believe collectively creating the right conversations with the right people, making sure that everyone is invited, that everyone knows that their opinion matters, and bringing everyone to the table. I believe we can find the right answers. I believe we can find a path forward. I know it exists.
Look, Brock, I love the passion. You know, I would ask you two things. One, you're late to the game. I'm not even sure you can get on the ballot in some cross-section of the country. You'll have to be written in. And two, what makes you think you can acquire the talent and build a team of people to help you on this journey? It was one of the things that President Trump said he could do, and it's been a difficult process for him. And he's probably got you by 35 years.